Hey guys, Pete here. This is going to be my top moments video for Twin Peaks The Return, episode 10. If you haven't watched episode 10, you'll want to stop watching this video because it will spoil it. I guess this episode was slightly subdued to what we've seen in the last few parts, but I still really enjoyed it. We started off at Miriam's trailer. Kind of had a feeling that Miriam wasn't going to have the best life expectancy after we saw that she saw Richard Horne kill that child in the hit and run. And sure enough, Richard stayed true to his character and was a complete bastard. After he found out Miriam had sent a letter to the sheriff, he stormed inside her house. I guess it's notable to mention that she was still alive when he left. You could see her breathing on the floor there. But he lit a candle and the oven was open and turned on, and we saw a large pool of blood there. The next big moment was that he immediately contacted Chad, Deputy Chad, and told him to intercept the letter at the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department. We knew he had some dealings with Chad, but it looks like they're really in deep together, so that's just a little bit of confirmation on that. The next big scene or big moment for me was, without a doubt, Carl Rod jamming on the guitar outside his trailer. Harry Dean Stanton is amazing, and I think that it should be kind of like there should be a compulsory Carl Rod scene like this in every episode till the end. I could watch him do anything, basically. I really love him. But yeah, we saw him there. He is minding his own business, having a nice little strum on the guitar. And we see that Becky and Steven live in the Fat Trout and that there is some tension, if not outright violence, going on in their relationship. So that would be the next big moment. Becky is in a situation that may be worse than what we originally realized. Then we had Candy and The Fly. We found out a lot about the Mitchum brothers this week, but the three girls that follow them around, the showgirls, Mandy, Candy, and Sandy, are still a bit of a mystery. But Candy in this episode took a front stage role, and the first big moment with her was the pursuit of the fly. And what I loved about this scene is you knew what was going to happen. Like, it wasn't a surprise at all whenever she picked up the remote control that she was going to end up hitting Rodney Mitchum in the face with it, but it still worked for some reason. And I think the actress who plays Candy, Amy Shields, did a good job throughout this episode, where it seemed like they were only going to be background characters. She did a fantastic portrayal here. I don't know what else to say. It was just really good. The next big moment was Dougie and Janey-E going to the doctor, which turned out to be absolutely disappointing in a way that the doctor didn't seem to find anything with Dougie, but there was some funny moments there. As they got into the examination, the doctor mentioned that he had lost weight, and just think for a second what the original Dougie Jones looked like. Then we have Kyle MacLachlan, who's obviously in good shape here, and we saw Janey-E sitting there, and it's like she noticed for the first time, and I was cracking up. Like, there's a little bend of a smile in her lips there, and it's just funny. So, like I said, it was kind of a disappointment because I was hoping that we would get some insight into what was going on with their thought process, other than, they're just like, oh, he's acting weird. But the Janey thing was definitely funny. Next big moment was we saw that Ike the Spike being caught was on TV. The biggest laugh I had in this episode, and there were a few for sure, but the biggest laugh I had though was when Janey was being interviewed on TV and Dougie Cooper kept trying to touch the badge. Like, it's hilarious. I was watching at a cafe and I laughed out loud, literally, and yeah, it's not a bad Dougie episode, really. I kind of enjoyed most of the scenes he was in this time. But we find out that the Mitchums know who Ike is, and this sets some things into motion, but I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. The next big moment was Janey being in full lust mode when they get back. It was funny to see the transformation of the look that she gave in the doctor's office to where she ended up in when they were at home. Dougie Cooper sitting there eating chocolate cake and doesn't seem to notice at all. But eventually they end up in bed, and again, Kyle MacLachlan just sort of nailed this Dougie Cooper thing here, like the arms going up and down and the big smile on his face. Definitely a good little laugh there. We got some Dr. Jacoby, that was a moment, and we also got a little bit of Nadine. Jacoby's line, "No wool for us," had me cracking up. He's an angry man. We mentioned in the secret history that we found out he lost his license to practice because of Laura, and he seems to be bitter and on the offensive there with his YouTube channel or whatever it is he's doing. We also saw that Nadine has a shop. So I guess she eventually got her noiseless drapes, or drape runners, I guess, off the ground. And there's a strange scene where we see the curtain kind of open and close to showcase one of those gold shovels from Jacoby. But yeah, it's been a while since we've seen either one of these two, so it's good to see they're there, but it was also just a fleeting thing and didn't really get us going too much. The next big moment was that we learned Johnny is all right. He's a little worse for the wear, but he is still alive at the very least. And we met his little bear that just says over and over again, "Hello, Johnny, how are you today?" This was kind of a bummer because that website, Commercials I Hate, that was what they had released early like they do every week. And so a lot of people got to thinking that was going to be Audrey's first words in the season and she would show up. And obviously it was this creepy bear that said it instead. But then we even see what might be worse than what we've seen Richard Horne do before. I mean, he killed a child, so I guess it's just all the same. But we see that there's really nothing good about this character. He comes in and threatens his grandmother. He chokes her somewhat, and then he takes all of her money and jewels. And poor Johnny is just there, and it's a really heart-wrenching kind of scene. Not the kind that makes you feel good afterwards, that's for sure. So a big moment, but Richard Horne is very much irredeemable at this point. And we really didn't find out much more about him except for that, yeah, he's a Horne and Silvia is his grandmother. We see, then the next moment we see that Tony Sinclair is involved with Mr. Todd, and he's now responsible for the Dougie Jones hit. Mr. Todd, in a pretty cool scene, tells him that he better go over and tell the Mitchum brothers that the reason they lost $30 million on that insurance claim was directly related to Dougie Jones, and that Dougie Jones has it out for him. The next big moment was Candy again, and her scene in the security room was fascinatingly mysterious. The way they had to say her name several times before she even responded, and then just responded by saying the same things, it was almost like a Dougie mirror in a way, but she's obviously a lot more high functioning than he is. But anyway, she goes out, she brings the guy in, and it's just bizarre. We do hear one of the Mitchum brothers say that she has nowhere to go if we fire her, so I have a feeling we're going to learn more about these three showgirls as things go on. The next big moment was Gordon's drawing. And then whenever he goes over to the door to answer it, he sees Laura Palmer, which is pretty fascinating. We haven't seen any other characters have this sort of vision. So yeah, after he opens the door, he sees Laura's image. Albert then comes in to deliver the next big moment. They're monitoring Diane's communications and they saw the message that we saw. He says at first they weren't sure if it was important because, it came from a tower in Philadelphia. But they looked a little further and they found out it was relayed from Mexico. And they found out that she responded, "They have Hastings. He is going to take them to the site." So that's a bit of mystery there. We'll get into that more in the recap and review. But yeah, that was a big moment without a doubt. Not to be outdone, Tammie delivers our next big moment by telling them that they had an image from the early cards at the glass box experiment was in New York City, and who is in the photos but Evil Coop. So yeah, that is good to get something about that part of the story for sure, and we find out Evil Coop was there in the early stages. Speculate away about that. The final big moment for me was the Log Lady's return and her conversation with Hawk. It was quite a long message, and he just sits there and listens, although he does sort of give some indications that he understands, that he's taken it all in at the very least. So she says, "Electricity is humming. You hear it in the mountains and rivers. You see it dance among the seas and stars and glowing around the moon. But in these days, the glow is dying. what will be in the darkness that remains. The Truman brothers are both true men. They are your brothers, and the others, the good ones who have been with you. Now the circle is almost complete. Watch and listen to the dream of time and space. It all comes out now, flowing like a river. That which is and is not. Hawk, Laura is the one. And then after that, we head to the Roadhouse, which was one of my favorite performances there. Because of the timing, I thought maybe there might be something else, but it does go to credits. But yeah, it was cool. It held my attention. I don't know what the biggest moment of them all was. I think that the log lady is definitely the most intriguing thing. And there were several funny things that happened. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. The recap and review will be following shortly behind. I have some Game of Thrones to do now too, but don't worry, I'm not going to give up on Twin Peaks in any way. I'm really fascinated and can't wait for each next episode when it comes out. Give me a follow over on social media. The links are in the description. And check back regularly because new stuff will be coming out soon. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again.